So hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Terry. Hope you guys and gals are doing well. And hey, I got a brand new angle here for y'all. What do you think? Hope you all out there like it. So today, going to be talking about a brand new Canon camera. It's the EOS R8. And personally, I'm very excited for this camera. You know, I have my notes here pulled up on Google Docs here. Now, unfortunately, you know, I have nowhere near the amount of people it would take for Canon to send me a review unit, obviously, but I figured I would go ahead and sort of kind of give you guys and gals my take about the camera and just how I feel about it overall with the RF ecosystem and what Canon's doing here and everything. Okay, so essentially with this new EOS R8, it's essentially a baby R6 Mark II. You know, they literally took everything amazing about the R6 Mark II and put it in a smaller body, way cheaper camera. And well, I'll put it to you this way here, okay? You know the amazing autofocus system from the EOS R6 Mark II? Well, that entire thing, the animal tracking, vehicle tracking, human tracking, all that amazing stuff that the R6 Mark II is known for, that's inside the R8. It's insane. So for the battery, because I know a lot of you out there are going to be curious about this here, just first off here, it's going to be using the LPE17 battery, which is a very common Canon battery. It's not as big as the one you'll see in the newer R-line series of cameras, but for the most part, it's going to be just fine for a vast majority of people. It's going to have a 24.2 megapixel full frame CMOS sensor. It's going to have the amazing Canon Dual Pixel autofocus. It's going to have 4K 60 uncropped, which is downsampled from 6K. So it's going to be extremely sharp 4K, again, uncropped. That is amazing. It's going to have a max recording time of up to 2 hours. It's going to have in-camera compositing. As far as the EF goes, it's going to have a 2.36 million dot electronic viewfinder. It's going to have a 3-inch 1.62 million dot vari-angle LCD touchscreen, so like every other camera out there right now. And another cool thing about it, like every other company out there, it's going to be UVC compatible to just plug into your computer via USB cord, and you're going to be able to use it for live streaming, gaming, whatever it might be. Now, as far as the memory card, it's only going to have one memory card slot, and but don't worry though, it's going to be compatible with the much faster UHS 2 standard, so the memory cards are going to be a little bit faster. Whenever it comes to the shutter speed, it's going to have a max shutter speed of 1/4000th of a second with the mechanical shutter, but with the electronic shutter though, you can crank that bad boy all the way up to 1/16,000th of a second. So in other words, like you think Barry Allen's the fastest man alive, no, this shutter is the fastest thing alive, okay? That was a horrible joke, I apologize. And the most mind-blowing thing about this camera, essentially a baby R6 Mark II, is that for the body only, it's only $1,500. You pair that up with a decent RF mount, 50mm glass, 35mm glass, that is an amazing value for the money if you ask me. Now for me personally, because I'm looking for a more professional body, I would love to have seen dual SD card slots at the bare minimum, but for this price point, I can understand why they opted out of that. They want to save that for the more professional lines. Same thing for in-body image stabilization. Not going to have it on here, but you do have the digital movie IS, which in my opinion, in a pinch, it's okay, but you might want to like stabilize it in Premiere or resolve it in post. But there is one feature on this camera that it does not have that sort of kind of kills it for me, okay? And it's not having a smaller battery. It's not having one SD card slot. For that part there, I just say buy a good SD card from a very reputable manufacturer and you should be good to go. It's not even the fact that it lacks, you know, IBIS. It doesn't matter to me because the digital stabilization on Canon cameras is pretty dang good from what I can recall. The thing that kills it for me, and not necessarily for me personally, but I'm talking about in the sense of a new photographer or videographer that might be scared to change lenses out because that exposed sensor is just that. From what I'm reading and from what I've also seen from other creators out there that are doing first impression reviews of this camera, the EOS R8 body here does not have any sort of mechanism to cover the sensor whenever you take a lens off, like you might be used to if you're coming from more professional style bodies here. You know, basically all new Canon cameras can do that. Sony cameras can do that now. I'm not sure if the Panasonic S5 II can do that. I'm sure it probably could. I just haven't read anywhere about that kind of feature. It might have. But Canon didn't put that feature in this R8. And I say that's a drawback because whenever I first started photography, whenever I first started doing this whole YouTube thing, I had a Canon T6i, okay? And yeah, there might have been a mirror in front of the sensor and all that jazz. So technically speaking, the sensor itself wasn't exposed. But whenever it came to swapping out lenses and stuff, I was terrified. I was always terrified that I was going to get dust on that sensor and somehow ruin my video quality, ruin my photos, whatever it might be. And I'm not saying that a mechanical shutter or some kind of door or just cover in general, I'm not saying that is the end-all be-all, defense against dust getting on your sensor. But will it help? Yes, it will. And if you're like me, whenever you first started doing this kind of stuff, you might get confused on how a lens goes on, and you might try to put it on the wrong way. So you got to stop, look for where the dots are, and then put it back on. So that's an extra 4 or 5 seconds without that lens being on the body, covering up that sensor, you know what I mean? And whenever you don't have a lens on the body, that's just extra time for dust to get in there and settle inside that body, you know what I mean? But again, though, for $1,500, I really can't fault them for that. They had to cut corners somewhere to make this camera more affordable. And I'll say it again, if you're somebody that's just getting into this kind of thing and you want to start full frame photography, full frame videography in the Canon ecosystem, I really do think this could be the camera for you to get. Do me a favor, everybody, sign off in the comments below if this is a camera you might be interested in, or do you think this is a good option for any sort of kind of, beginner videographer, photographer out there, or do you think there are better options to get into full frame? That's always fun talking to y'all. Take care, and I'll see you next time.